Section-2 Number 41. What is model validation in milliliter and list out its techniques. Definition. In machine learning, model validation is referred to as the process where a trained model is evaluated with a testing data set. The testing data set is a separate portion of the same data set from which the training set is derived. Model validation is carried out after model training, as illustrated in Fig. 1, together with model training. Model validation aims to find an optimal model with the best performance. Picking the correct validation method is likewise critical to guarantee the exactness and biasness of the validation method. As though the data volume is immense enough, speaking to the mass populace, you may not require approval. Machine learning model validation techniques. Holdout validation method. It is considered one of the easiest model validation techniques, helping you to find how your model gives conclusions on the holdout set. Under this method, a given label data set done through image annotation services is taken and distributed into test and training sets, and then fitted a model to the training data and predicts the labels of the test set. K-fold cross-validation method. As per the giant companies working on AI, cross-validation is another important technique of milliliter model validation, where milliliter models are evaluated by training numerous milliliter models on subsets of the available input data and evaluating them on a matching subset of the data. Leave one out. Cross-validation method. Under this validation method's machine learning, all the data except one record is used for training, and that one record is used later only for testing. And if there is n number of records, this process is repeated n times with the privilege of using the entire data for training and testing. Though this method is comparatively expensive, as it generally requires one to construct many models equal in number to the size of the training set. Under this technique, the error rate of model is almost average of the error rate of the each repetition. The evaluation given by this method is good, but at first pass it seems very expensive to compute. Luckily, inexperienced learner can make loop predictions very easily, as they make other regular predictions. It is one of the best way to evaluate models, as it takes no more time than computing the residual errors, saving time and cost of evolution. Random subsampling validation method. Companies offering milliliter algorithm validation services also use this technique for evaluating the models. Under this method, data is randomly partitioned into disjoint training and test sets multiple times, means multiple sets of data are randomly chosen from a dataset and combined to form a test dataset, while remaining data forms the training dataset. The accuracies obtained from each partition are averaged, and error rate of the model is the average of the error rate of each iteration. The advantage of random subsampling method is that it can be repeated an indefinite number of times. Bootstrapping milliliter validation method. Bootstrapping is another useful method of milliliter model validation that can work in different situations, like evaluating a predictive model performance, ensemble methods, or estimation of bias and variance of the model. Under this technique, the machine learning training dataset is randomly selected with replacement, and the remaining data sets that were not selected for training are used for testing. The error rate of the model is average of the error rate of each iteration. As unlike k-fold cross-validation, the value is likely to change from fold to fold during the validation process. 2. What is cross-validation? Answer. Cross-validation is a technique in which we train our model using the subset of the data set and then evaluate using the complementary subset of the data set. The three steps involved in cross-validation are as follows. 1. Reserve some portion of sample data set. 2. Using the REST dataset, train the model. 3. Test the model using the reserve portion of the dataset. Methods of cross-validation. Validation. In this method, we perform training on the 50% of the given dataset and rest 50% is used for the testing purpose. The major drawback of this method is that we perform training on the 50% of the dataset. It may possible that the remaining 50% of the data contains some important information which we are leaving while training our model, i.e. higher bias. Leave one out. Cross-validation. In this method, we perform training on the whole data set but leaves only one data point of the available data set and then iterates for each data point. It has some advantages as well as disadvantages also. An advantage of using this method is that we make use of all data points and hence it is low bias. The major drawback of this method is that it leads to higher variation in the testing model as we are testing against one data point. If a data point is an outlier, it can lead to higher variation. Another drawback is it takes a lot of execution time as it iterates over the number of data points times k-fold cross-validation. In this method, we split the data set into k number of subsets, known as folds, then we perform training on all the subsets but leave one, k1, subset for the evaluation of the trained model. In this method, we iterate k times with a different subset reserved for testing purpose each time. Example. The diagram below shows an example of the training subsets and evaluation subsets generated in k-fold cross-validation. Here, we have total 25 instances. In first iteration we use the first 20% of data for evaluation, and the remaining 80% for training, 1 to 5, testing and 5 to 25, training, while in the second iteration we use the second subset of 20% for evaluation, and the remaining 3 subsets of the data for training, 5 to 10, testing and 1 to 5 and 10 to 25, training, and so on. Advantages of train-test split. 1. This runs k times faster than leave one out cross-validation because k-fold cross-validation repeats the train-test split k times. 2. Simpler to examine the detailed results of the testing process. Advantages of cross-validation. 1. More accurate estimate of out-of-sample accuracy. 2. More efficient use of data as every observation is used for both training and testing. 3. What is future scope of machine learning? Answer. The scope of machine learning is not limited to the investment sector. Rather, it is expanding across all fields such as banking and finance, information technology, media and entertainment, gaming, and the automotive industry. As the machine learning scope is very high, there are some areas where researchers are working toward revolutionizing the world for the future. Automotive industry. The automotive industry is one of the areas where machine learning is excelling by changing the definition of safe driving. There are a few major companies such as Google, Tesla, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, etc., that have invested hugely in machine learning to come up with novel innovations. However, Tesla's self-driving car is the best in the industry. These self-driving cars are built using machine learning, IoT sensors, high-definition cameras, voice recognition systems, etc. Robotics is one of the fields that always gain the interest of researchers as well as the common. In 1954, George DeWaal invented the first robot that was programmable and it was named Animate. After that, in the 21st century, Hanson Robotics created the first AI robot, Sophia. These inventions were possible with the help of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Quantum computing. We are still at an infant state in the field of machine learning. There are a lot of advancements to achieve in this field. One of them that will take machine learning to the next level is quantum computing. It is a type of computing that uses the mechanical phenomena of quantum such as entanglement and superposition. By using the quantum phenomenon of superposition, we can create systems, quantum systems, that can exhibit multiple states at the same time. On the other hand, entanglement is the phenomenon where two different states can be referenced to each other. It helps in describing the correlation between the properties of a quantum system. 4. Explain perceptron in machine learning. Answer. Perceptron is a building block of an artificial neural network. Initially, in the mid of 19th century, Mr. Frank Rosenblatt invented the perceptron for performing certain calculations to detect input data capabilities or business intelligence. Perceptron is a linear machine learning algorithm used for supervised learning for various binary classifiers. This algorithm enables neurons to learn elements and processes them one by one during preparation. Perceptron is machine learning algorithm for supervised learning of various binary classification tasks. Further, perceptron is also understood as an artificial neuron or neural network unit that helps to detect certain input data computations in business intelligence. Perceptron model is also treated as one of the best and simplest types of artificial neural networks. However, it is a supervised learning algorithm of binary classifiers. Hence, we can consider it as a single-layer neural network with four main parameters, i.e., input values, weights and bias, net sum, and an activation function. Basic components of perceptron. Mr. Frank Rosenblatt invented the perceptron model as a binary classifier which contains three main components. These are as follows. O. Input nodes or input layer. This is the primary component of perceptron which accepts the initial data into the system for further processing. Each input node contains a real numerical value. O. Weight and bias. Weight parameter represents the strength of the connection between units. This is another most important parameter of perceptron components. Weight is directly proportional to the strength of the associated input neuron in deciding the output. Further, bias can be considered as the line of intercept in a linear equation. O. Activation function. These are the final and important components that help to determine whether the neuron will fire or not. Activation function can be considered primarily as a step function. Types of activation functions: O sign function, O step function, and O sigmoid function. The data scientist uses the activation function to take a subjective decision based on various problem statements and forms the desired outputs. Activation function may differ, e.g., sign, step, and sigmoid, in perceptron models by checking whether the learning process is slow or has training data. This type of data builds up the machine learning algorithm. The data scientist feeds the algorithm input data, which corresponds to an expected output. The model evaluates the data repeatedly to learn more about the data's behavior and then adjusts itself to serve its intended purpose. Filled circle validation data. During training, validation data infuses new data into the model that it hasn't evaluated before. Validation data provides the first test against unseen data, allowing data scientists to evaluate how well the model makes predictions based on the new data. Not all data scientists use validation data, but it can provide some helpful information to optimize hyperparameters, which influence how the model assesses data. Filled circle test data. After the model is built, testing data once again validates that it can make accurate predictions. If Training and validation data include labels to monitor performance metrics of the model. The testing data should be unlabeled. Test data provides a final, real-world check of an unseen dataset to confirm that the milliliter algorithm was trained effectively. 2. How machine learning can help solving business problems. Answer. There are various applications of machine learning in business. 1. Prediction. There are many ways by which the foresight capability of an milliliter can help you. One such way is applying machine learning to business problems like tracking income, expenditure, and revenue to be gained gives you the luxury to change your operational one stone. You get calculated predictions while saving money. The market has the attention span of a Labrador pup. There are times when it wants one thing, and the moment it sees something else, it goes right after it. AI can help you understand these market drifts and give you a heads up on your potential partners and competition. Milliliter integrated software is what you need in that situation. Customer churn is a grave concern for business owners. Using milliliter software, you can put a stop to it. It will analyze the historical data of the customer and give you a calculated solution. 2. Engaging the customers. Customers are important, and we need to know what they think to improve our services. Before milliliter, the data had to be gathered and analyzed manually. This takes a lot of time, and the probability of errors was more. But now, with proper milliliter software development, the data can be easily collected and analyzed to make the best decision. The regular interaction and reaction to the customers will. 3. Increasing efficiency. Doing the same tasks day after day is something everyone hates. These tasks are a waste of time and human potential. The deep learning capabilities of machine learning automate routine IT tasks like security monitoring, auditing, data recovery and classification or reporting. Now your team is open to doing more strategic tasks. The daily chores of a CEO include many decision-making situations, with countless variables to consider. The data at your disposal is important. Machine learning offers its helping hands by giving more data points and thus preventing many errors and other liabilities. 4. Allocation of tasks. Allocation of tasks and checking ways to maximize efficiency has never been this easy. Introducing AI and milliliter in business operations helps to analyze the vast data sets to reduce unnecessary touch points and manual tasks. 5. Problem solving. Ideally, machine learning is suited to handle more complex problems that humans take a lot of time. AI milliliter-based technologies are capable of streamlining huge amounts of data through their neural networks. So the permutations of solutions they suggest in a minute will be light years ahead compared to human capabilities. 6. Managing and securing data. The growing volume of data is a concern for many big companies, and this unstructured data needs to be structured and protected. AI milliliter software reads these data and sorts them quickly to give outputs based on them. In this era of technology, information is power and the data collected is information on various attributes. The need to protect this data is crucial in the growth of a business. Different cyber attack styles and threat levels pose it harder to anticipate a threat. However, new solutions with the help of AI and milliliter are in progress. In times of a security breach, machine learning can be used to make necessary decisions to neutralize it. Detecting previously unknown attacks with no established signature is also possible with AI milliliter software. 7. Marketing. To prove the marketing prowess of machine learning, open Google and type shirts, browse around for a while. Now open your social media account. How many clothing ads does it show you? AI-driven marketing strategy is helping entrepreneurs gather customers all around the world. Natural language processing software is a byproduct of artificial intelligence, and it enables computers to understand the text and spoken words in much the same way human beings can. This helps in personalizing ad campaigns according to the customer. Rather than shooting in the dark, marketing agencies can give personalized messages to the individual. This strategy has a higher chance of gathering prospective customers. Image recognition is also an important feature of AI milliliter software, and it is one of the most common features that we are all familiar with. When powered with deep learning, it is used to gather customer analytics and give personalized marketing strategies. 8. Strategic business advantage. What is happening? Why is it happening? What is going to happen? These are all the strategic questions that need answering when building a business. Statistical data is necessary to know the answers to these questions. Predictive modeling and analytic data features of machine learning is a strong tool for you in this scenario. This analytic data feature also has another important aspect. The customer segmentation problem is a real menace for every business. Customers migrating to competitors is not good for your business. That is the time to change gears and rethink your business strategy. Machine learning can help you know the exact reasons for the segmentation and help you prevent it. 3. How does perceptron work? Explain with its types. In machine learning, perceptron is considered as a single-layer neural network that consists of 4 main parameters named input values, input nodes, weights and bias, net sum, and an activation function. The perceptron model begins with the multiplication of all input values and their weights, then adds these values together to create the weighted sum. Then this weighted sum is applied to the activation function, f, to obtain the desired output. This activation function is also known as the step function and is represented by f. This step function or activation function plays a vital role in ensuring that output is mapped between required values 0, 1, or -1, 1. It is important to note that the weight of input is indicative of the strength of a node. Similarly, an input's bias value gives the ability to shift the activation function curve up or down. Perceptron model works in 2 important steps as follows. Step 1. In the first step, first multiply all input values with corresponding weight values and then add them to determine the weighted sum. Mathematically, we can calculate the weighted sum as follows. NRE summation y asterisk she equals x1 asterisk w1 plus x2 asterisk w2 plus wn asterisk xn. Add a special term called bias, b, to this weighted sum to improve the model's performance. NRE summation y asterisk she plus b. Step 2. In the second step, an activation function is applied with the above mentioned weighted sum, which gives us output either in binary form or a continuous value as follows. Y equals f, NRE summation y asterisk she plus b. Types of perceptron models. Based on the layers, perceptron models are divided into 2 types. These are as follows. 1. Single-layer perceptron model. 2. Multi-layer perceptron model. Single-layer perceptron model. This is one of the easiest artificial neural networks and types. A single-layered perceptron model consists feed-forward network and also includes a threshold transfer function inside the model. The main objective of the single-layer perceptron model is to analyze the linearly separable objects with binary outcomes. Multi-layered perceptron model. Like a single-layer perceptron model, a multi-layer perceptron model also has the same model structure but has a greater number of hidden layers. The multi-layer perceptron model is also known as the backpropagation algorithm, which executes in two stages as follows. O. Forward stage. Activation functions start from the input layer in the forward stage and terminate on the output layer. O. Backward stage. In the backward stage, weight and bias values are modified as per the model's requirement. In this stage, the error between actual output and demanded originated backward on the output layer and ended on the input layer. Hence, a multi-layered perceptron model has considered as multiple artificial neural networks having various layers in which activation function does not remain linear, similar to a single-layer perceptron model. Instead of linear, activation function can be executed as sigmoid, tanh, ReLU, etc. for deployment. A multi-layer perceptron model has greater processing power and can process linear and nonlinear patterns. Further, it can also implement logic gates such as AND, OR, XOR, NAND, NOT, XNOR. NOR.